Let's get it on.
Nice and warm.
Be vigilant. Out with the Ord. In with the new. Tread carefully. Out with
Get
the
back.
Ord. Be vigilant.
Get back.
Out with the Ord.
Beware.
In with the new. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. Of course. Out
Beware.
with the Ord.
Beware.
I have claimed my first soul.
Of course.
More awaits.
Out with the Ord. In with the new. Tread carefully. In with the new. Be vigilant. Yeah. Of course. Tread carefully. Draw your weapon. Out with the Ord. We will see who possesses the best strategy. Let's put that beauty to the test. Be vigilant. In with the new. Of course. In with the new.
Requesting assistance.
Tread carefully. Be vigilant. Of course. Yeah. Be vigilant. In with the new.
Requesting
Of course.
assistance. Requesting
with the
assistance.
new. Tread carefully. Of course.
Beware.
Out with the Ord.
Requesting assistance.
Be vigilant. Yeah. In with the new.
Enemy hero missing from top.
Of course. Tread carefully. So the old ways are best, are they?
Fight here.
Draw your weapon.
Beware.
Be vigilant. Of course. Let's put that theory to the test. Out with the Ord. Be vigilant. In with the new. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord.
Requesting assistance.
Of course. Be vigilant. Out with the Ord. Be
Requesting
vigilant.
assistance.
Out with the Ord.
Fight here.
Draw your weapon. Of course. Be vigilant. Out with the Ord. Of course. So the old ways are best, are they? Be vigilant. Out with the Ord.
Enemy hero missing from
Be
middle.
vigilant.
Enemy hero missing
Tread
from top.
carefully.
Attack.
Of course. In with the new. Tread carefully.
Beware.
Of course.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Fight here.
In with the new. Be vigilant.
Coming to gank.
Tread carefully. In with the new.
Get back.
Out with the Ord. In with the new. Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. Of course. Tread carefully. Of course. Out with the Ord. Try if you dare. Of course. Be vigilant. Out with the Ord. Tread carefully.
Invisibility.
Beware.
In with the new. I cannot defend this land as well with the old ways.
Here's the finishing touch!
Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. Tread carefully. Of course. Out with the Ord. In with the new. Out with the Ord. Of course.
Attack.
In with the new. Draw your weapon. Of course. In with the new. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. In with the new.
Regeneration.
So the old ways are best, are they?
Enemy hero heading
Tread
top.
carefully. Of course.
Fight here. Beware.
Tread carefully.
Fight enemy hero missing from top. Attack.
Of course. Let's put that theory to the test. So the old ways are best, are they? Out with the Ord. Of course.
Tasty!
In with the new.
Beware.
Out with the Ord. Of course. Out with the Ord. Of course.
นี่ขจัดไป3แล้วเหรอ
Tread carefully. In with the new.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Tread carefully.
Fight here. Fight here.
Of course. Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Let's put that theory to the test. Out with the Ord. Tread carefully.
Requesting assistance.
Out with the Ord.
Fight here.
Tread carefully. In with the new. Of course.
Retreat!
In with the new.
Who has a death?
Out with the Ord.
One of your
Of
desserts is
course.
being eaten.
Fight here.
Out with the Ord.
Serial killer.
Be vigilant.
Beware.
Of course. Out with the Ord. Of course.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
In with the new. Tread carefully. Be vigilant.
My cake is not a lie.
You massacred that dessert.
The immortal dead has denied you of your prize.
In with the
Get
new.
back.
It never changes.
Tread carefully.
Who has a death wish?
Of course.
Ultimate
Out with the
warrior.
Ord. In with the new. Out with the Ord.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
In with the new. Out with the Ord. Of course. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord.
Attack.
There's my own bell.
The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Be vigilant.
Enemy
And
hero
with the
missing
new-
from bottom.
So the old ways are best, are they?
No retreat!
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Of course. Be vigilant. To stay on top, one needs to learn other techniques. Of course. Out with the Ord. Try if you dare. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. Of course. Be
Fight
vigilant.
here.
Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. We will see who possesses the best strategy.
Get back.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Tread carefully. Be vigilant. Of course. Out with the
Who
Ord.
has a death wish?
Tread carefully. Of course. Out with the Ord.
One of your desserts is being
Tread
eaten.
carefully.
The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Of course.
Here's the Hellborn has chomped a Legion tower.
Out with the Ord.
Welcome to your doom.
In with the new.
Serial killer.
Of course. Out with the Ord. In
One
with
of
the
your
new.
desserts is being eaten.
Of course. In with the new. Out with the Ord. Tread carefully. Of course. Tread carefully. Of course.
Where?
Not an option.
In with the new.
Ultimate warrior.
Be vigilant.
Ah! เริ่มมีกลิ่นแล้วนะ
Double tap.
You massacred that dessert.
Who has a death wish?
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Of course. Out with the odd. Of course. We will see who possesses the best strategy. Tread carefully.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Of course. In with the new.
Onslaught.
Of course.
Nemesis.
Out with the odd.
Who has a death
Is
wish?
the controller even plugged in?
Beware. Get back. Get back.
Tread carefully. Of course.
Beware. Beware.
I'll try blowing on the cartridge next time. It's super
Beware.
Of
effective.
course.
Attack.
In with the new. Out with the old.
แหม่มันจังหอมฉุย
In with the new.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Out with the odd.
Who has a
Tread
death wish?
carefully.
The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Something different.
Beware.
Out with the odd.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Tread carefully. Be vigilant. In with the new. Out with the odd. Tread carefully. Be vigilant.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Up, left X, down, square!
Who has a death wish?
Out with the odd. In with the new. Tread carefully. Be vigilant. Of course.
Beware.
Be vigilant.
Beware.
Tread carefully.
Beware.
Champion of North.
Beware.
Nemesis.
Your combat style is dated.
Bonus round. Bonus round.
Kiss my ass.
Spectacular. It's super effective.
One of your desserts is being eaten. The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Of course. Out with the Ord. Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord. In with the new. Of course. In with the new. Out with the Ord.
Who has a death wish? Kiss my ass.
Draw your weapon. Tread carefully. Of course.
Get back.
Too
Out with
easy.
the Ord.
Attack. Attack.
The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Fight here.
In with the new. Out with the Ord.
Beware.
Bonus round.
Here.
Out with the Ord. Be vigilant. In with the new.
Attack this structure.
Out with the Ord. Of course.
Bonus round.
The old ways are best, are they?
It's super effective.
Be vigilant.
Smackdown. Nemesis.
Of course. Out with the Ord. In with the new. Of course. Be vigilant. In with the new. Tread carefully.
Beware.
Of course. Tread
Who
carefully.
has a
The
death
Legion
wish?
devoured a Hellborn tower.
Out with the Ord. In with the new. Out with the Ord.
Here's the finishing touch!
Fleeing is not an option.
Sweet, sweet revenge.
Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Of course. Out with the old. In with the new.
Who has a death
Out
wish?
with the old. Try if you dare. In with the new. Out with the old. Tread
Beware.
carefully. In with the new. Out with the old. Be vigilant. Draw your weapon. Try something different. Of course.
Fight here.
In with the new. Out with the old. Be vigilant. Of course. Tread carefully. Out with the old. In with the new. Be vigilant.
Kongor has been slain.
Get back.
In with the new. Of course. Be vigilant. In with the new. Out with the old. Be vigilant. Out with the old. Of course. Tread carefully.
Poor baby.
Be vigilant. Of course. Out with the old. Be vigilant.
Get back.
In with the new. Tread carefully.
Attack.
In with the new. Out with the old.
Regeneration.
Of course.
Beware.
Out with the old.
Fight here.
Of course.
Defend this structure. Defend this structure.
Be vigilant.
Defend this structure.
Out with the old.
Beware.
I cannot defend this land as well with the old ways.
Defend this structure. Defend this structure. Defend this structure.
Be vigilant.
Attack this structure.
Out with the old. Tread carefully. Out with the old. People will embrace change when they see its effectiveness. Tread
Attack.
carefully.
Tasty.
You'll see who possesses the best strategy.
Attack.
Here's the finishing touch!
Who has a death wish?
Key to the trap.
Nemesis.
Tread carefully. Of course. Out with the ore. Try if you dare.
Beware.
Out with the ore. Be vigilant. Out with the ore. In with the new. Out with the ore. Of course.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Be vigilant. Of course. Be vigilant. Out with the ore. Draw your weapon.
Here's
In with the new.
Get back.
Out with the ore. In with the new. Out with the ore. Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Out with the ore. We will see.
serial killer.
Best strategy.
And a cherry on top.
Try if you
Attack
dare.
this structure.
Try something different. In with the new.
Attack this structure.
Of course. In with the new. Out with the ore.
Attack this structure.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Attack this structure.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Always our best, are they?
It's super effective.
Who has a death wish?
Attack. Get back. Beware. Get back.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Double damage.
In with the new. Of course.
Who has a death wish?
In with the new. Out with the ore. Be vigilant. Of course.
Attack.
stay on top, one needs to learn other techniques.
Here's the finishing touch!
In with the new,
It's super effective.
out with the orb.
Attack.
Be vigilant.
Beware.
Of course.
Get
Out
back.
with the orb. Draw your weapon. Be vigilant. Of course. Tread carefully. Out with the odd. In with the new. Out with the odd. In with the new. Be vigilant. Out with the odd. Tread carefully. Of course.
Condor has been slain.
Try if you dare. Try to be vigilant.
Condor has been slain.
Tread carefully.
Get back.
Out with the
Get
orb.
back.
Tread carefully. In with the new.
Who has a death wish?
Strategy. Tread carefully. Be vigilant.
Kill-tacular!
Attack this structure.
The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Attack this structure.
A Hellborn barracks has been eaten. A Hellborn barracks has been eaten.
No retreat!
My cake is not a lie.
Who has a death wish?
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Try something different. Out with the odd. Of course. Be vigilant. Out with the odd. Of course. In with the new. It's always good to try new things.
Fight
Try
here.
something different. Out with the odd.
a death wish.
Piece of cake. Too easy. Waste of time. Kiss my ass. No chance. 5 kills. Who's
Attack
next?
this structure.
And a cherry on top.
It's super effective.
Who has a death wish?
Try.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Try something different.
A Legion barracks has been eaten.
Weapon.
Attack this structure.
A Legion barracks has been eaten.
With the new. Out with the odd. Of course. In with the new. Tread carefully. Of course. Be vigilant. Tread carefully.
Get back.
Of course.
Who has a death wish?
Out with the odd. Of course. In with the
Beware.
new.
Attack.
Out with the odd. In with the new. Of course. Be vigilant. Of course.
Fight here. Attack. Attack.
I amazed myself.
Beware.
Bonafide bad.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Attack this structure.
Nemesis.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Attack this structure. Attack this structure. Beware. Attack this structure.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Attack this structure. Attack this structure.
A Legion barracks has been eaten. A Legion barracks has been eaten.
Beware. Beware. Attack this structure. Attack this structure.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Who has a death wish?
A Legion barracks has been eaten. A Legion barracks has been eaten.
Invisibility.
One of your desserts is being eaten.
Out with the odd.
The Legion devoured a Hellborn tower.
Serial killer.
Get back.
Nemesis.
Embrace change
Get back.
when they see its effectiveness. Tread carefully. Out with the Ord.
Illusion.
I cannot defend this land as well with the old ways. Of course. In with the new. Out with the old.
Beware.
In with the new. Out with the old. Your combat style is dated. Of course.
Vengeance is sweet. Too easy.
Tread carefully.
Kill-tacular!
Out with the old. Tread carefully. Be vigilant. Tread carefully.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Be vigilant. Tread carefully. Draw your weapon.
Fight here.
In with the new.
Fight
Of
here.
course. In with the new.
Fight here.
Be vigilant. Out with the Ord. In with the new. Be vigilant. Let's prevent
Kongor has been slain.
Be vigilant.
Haste.
Beware.
Out with the Ord. Of course. Be vigilant. In with the new. Be vigilant.
Here's the finishing touch!
In with the new.
The Hellborn have chomped a Legion tower.
Carefully. Be vigilant. Of course.
Nemesis.